Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Classic Gaming Brothers. I'm Zach.
And I'm Seth.
And we are the Classic Gaming Brothers.
We are, in fact, the Classic Gaming Brothers. Still classy and still brothers.
Yep, and we're still gaming after
gaming.
all these episodes. We haven't stopped.
We haven't. We're still playing. Well, I mean, I guess we're still recently been playing whatever game we've recently been playing.
Yeah, which, before we go right into it, as a brief, as a quick summary of our podcast, if you've never listened to us before, which you're picking, as always, a great episode to jump right into. We typically split up our podcast into three segments. We have a recently played segment. Then we'll get into the meat of our podcast, which is whatever subject we're talking about, and then we end it with a byweight pass. So starting out, Seth, what have you been recently playing?
Before we get right into the recently been playing segment, I do want to say this is our post PAX podcast.
Yes.
Look at that alliteration right there.
Ooh.
I wanted to say that we the PPP we have returned. We have returned successful. Both I and Zach did not get sick, and we are now back with our takes, which is what a majority of this podcast is going to be about. But that ties back into my recently been playing, which is a game called Wonderling.
Yeah, I liked Wonderling, but you tell us about Wonderling.
So I'll tell you about Wonderling. Wonderling it's a game that's coming out for the Steam and for the Switch. At the time of recording, it will be coming out tomorrow. At the time of this episode, it was released on the 5th. We did get a pre-release copy from the developers over at Retroid. With their representative Olaf, and they provided us beyond that, they provided us a lot of swag, which was awesome. They gave us a t-shirt, a bag, some like lanyards and a copy of the game along with a cassette with the soundtrack. And I played it. And it takes place in the like a Mario, like a reverse Mario almost. So you play as like a Goomba in Mario, and you get the magic ability to jump, but you always have to go forward. But you can finally jump over those things that get in your way, and you're chasing after this lead character that's a carrot, and you're like a kind of like a potato-ish type character, and it's fun. It's great. I really, really enjoyed it. It's really like one of those like great Switch games. I definitely recommend, if you're going to pick it up, if you have only a PC, get it for Steam. If you if you can get it on Steam and Switch, it's a great couch game. It's a lot of fun. I really am enjoying it. It starts off relatively simple as they kind of teach you the mechanics, and then it kind of ramps up. And in order to like 100% things in 100% the levels, you really have to like time all your jumps right, because there's very few buttons that you touch when playing the game, since the character automatically moves forward. So thank you, Olaf, for the Wonderling key, and it's a great game, and I would definitely recommend it.
Awesome. Yeah, I watched a little bit of the demo being played, and I'm probably going to play a little bit of it on set Switch when I get the chance, and I'm looking forward to playing it myself. It looks like a great game.
Yeah, it'll be out tomorrow. Well, it's already out, so buy it. So Zach, what have you been recently been playing?
Well, I also have been playing a game that I picked up at PAX. So we stopped at a booth that was being hosted by Retrotainment. They are a indie game developer who creates 8-bit style games for the NES. They also release their games on the modern consoles like Xbox, PS4, and Switch. But specifically, I picked up a copy of the game Haunted Halloween 86, the full title of which is Haunted Halloween 86, The Curse of Possum Hollow. So Haunted Halloween 86 is it's an NES style, or it is an NES game, but it's done in the style of a kind of old school beat 'em up of sorts. Not necessarily like Double Dragon, but it kind of feels, at least to me, like a fusion of like the Double Dragon like beat 'em up with kind of Castlevania aesthetic. You're going through haunted areas and stuff like that, fighting zombies and monsters. It has a pretty cool mechanic where you can switch between two playable characters to kind of like use different abilities, and also to, you know, save health of one character if another one's taking damage. So yeah, that's been pretty fun.
So there was two different haunted Halloweens. There was the 86, right, and then there was, what was the other one?
85.
85. And
which, yeah.
Yeah, and you chose the 86 one?
Yeah, so I chose the 86 one off of recommendation from a guy named Bo, who I believe is with Retrotainment. I know he also has his own company called Soul Goose Productions. He also is a host of a podcast called The Assembly Line, where they speak about NES homebrews. So Bo said that he recommended Haunted Halloween 86 because he felt it to be kind of a more complete version of the first game. While it's a sequel, that they were able to do a lot more with the game versus than with the first game. So I took his recommendation. I picked up I got the orange cartridge copy.
Yeah,
so
it's a really cool
Halloween
cartridge.
Orange. Yeah,
it's like a clear orange. Oh, maybe you could take a picture of it and we could throw it on the Instas.
Yeah, I can definitely take a picture. I have it sitting in my my little retro Nintendo system that does upscale to HDMI, so it's been very nice display on my screen.
So maybe we'll take a picture of that, and what maybe the stuff that Zach bought a lot more than I did at the con. So we can you can take some. Maybe we'll throw those up on the Instas if you're interested in it. So to get into the meat of the podcast, the meat of the podcast is kind of like, the episode before the last episode, we talked about what we were excited about seeing at PAX, and now we have gone to PAX and we have sawn PAX. We have seen it.
Yes, we've sawn it.
So we have sawn it.
Like Shakespeare, we have sawn it.
Yes, we have sawn it like Shakespeare. And so we're here to talk about what we saw in regards to the different games. And just also, Zach, it was your first PAX.
Yeah, it was my very first PAX. I think I mentioned this earlier. I've been to other conventions here in Boston, but nothing like PAX. It was very cool. It was massive. It was disorienting in a good way. I mean, there was always, everywhere I looked, there was something new. So I had a blast just kind of wandering around with my brother and not Dying Light Ryan. It was We Survived Together Ryan.
It was, I think, the first time you met We Survived Together.
It was the first time I met We Survived Together Ryan.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah, we had a great time wandering around and speaking to indie devs and demoing games and checking out booths with stuff for sale and spending money. Which is what I do best.
It's true. You inherited that from our father there.
I think so, yeah.
We actually had a lot of positive feedback from the indie devs that we spoke to. Mm-hmm. Enough that we may end up. We are working on a project right now that we will kind of tease out in this episode.
Yeah.
Since I'm saying it now, but we're working on a project to try and get some extra content in your feed. So probably not anytime soon, but we are going to try and set up interviews with indie devs, and those will come out when that's a little more. Arranging the schedule of more than two people is complicated, as I'm sure you are all aware.
Yeah.
So as we develop this idea and we start getting interviews with the different indie devs, we'll put out some content. It won't disrupt the Sunday releases, so that's kind of a promise to you as an audience. We won't. They'll probably be longer podcasts as well because there'll be interviews. So we'll still keep our 45-minute, 50-minute podcast in your Sunday feed, but then you may get some supplement content from us. And who doesn't want more classic gaming, brother stuff?
That's right.
I certainly don't, but...
Wow.
Well, it means more time with you, and that's just
Oof.
Oof. Yeah, exactly.
Well, anyway, I think getting right into PAX. I mean, I think the best place to start is where I started, which is when I met up with you in the Kickstarter room.
Right. So for those not familiar with PAX, there is the expo floor, and then there's various side rooms. There may be like a console area, like a console free play or a classic. They had a classic console free play. They had a room dedicated to the game. What is it? With the mech?
Steel Battalion?
A Steel Battalion. They had a room dedicated to Steel Battalion. And then there was the Kickstarter room. And while we were in the Kickstarter room, I was talking to two brothers who are working on a game called Cyber Knights, and it's done by the Tracy brothers, and that's Tracy spelled with a Trese, and they are I think their Kickstarter's done, or it's almost done. Yes, it is done.
I think it ends in 20. Well, as of recording this podcast, it ends in just a few hours. So by the time this podcast is out, it will be ended.
Yes.
But they have met their goal. Which is awesome by a lot. Their goal was $50,000, and they currently have $197,000.
Yeah, this is a really cool game. They actually did another game called Star Traders, which I'm kind of thinking about picking up soon. And the game is set in a Shadowrun, like cyberpunk Shadowrun type setting, where it's like a dystopia future. And you're playing as these like criminals who have to do objectives. It kind of looks like the play style kind of looked a little XCOM-y with the squad base, like the movements around the field. A little, or more like the Shadowrun games, I think actually would probably be a better description. So like the Shadowrun games and then each of the characters gets different, you like hack cameras, and you can't be spotted by cameras as you're entering the place. And the game looks really cool. I think that I'm excited. I kickstarted it while I was there, so I'm excited about it.
Nice.
And what was your take on it?
I mean, it looked cool. From I think by the time I showed up, you guys were just kind of wrapping the conversation up, so I ended up looking it up a little later. But just from what I see, it looks like it's going to be a great game, and it definitely has a Shadowrun aesthetic to it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm looking forward to trying that out as well.
But
then we hit the expo floor, and we started wandering around. We started seeing a couple other different booths. We got to meet the Wonderling team, as Seth spoke about in his recently been playing. And Olaf, and that he was really nice. We got to see the Black Mesa table run by the Crowbar Collective team. They were really cool. We kind of joked around with them a bit, just about congratulating them on the fact that the game just entered in just out of early access, but telling them they beat Valve to Half-Life 3 pretty much.
Correct.
And then we saw a lot of the bigger companies like Daedalic and Devolver Digital, who we mentioned before. But we really tried to keep to some of the more smaller booths. So I know one game that I was excited to look at and excited to talk to. One of the creators was the game Dunk Lords, done by a company called Storyfort, and we spoke to a guy named Dan who's involved with them. And Dunk Lords is, when I saw it, I immediately thought of the Sega Genesis game NBA Jam it's a 2v2 basketball game, and it had that aesthetic that NBA Jam always that I just recognized from it. But actually watching the game, I realized it's kind of a whole different thing. Not only is it a 2v2 basketball game, but it's a 2v2 basketball brawler that like you are fighting other people while also playing basketball, and it's set in this like almost like post-apocalyptic, like they're like, I don't know, the stadium they were in was like collapsing, and there was like things on fire in the background.
So part of that is that the game incorporates kind of fighting game elements.
Yes.
So the stage, and I was talking to Dan with the Dunk Lords team, and he said that the stage each basketball court is different, and you may need to optimize your team before going into the stage, as maybe there may be like more of an electricity kind of stage or danger, or there may be like lava or something like that. Now the electricity one is definitely something that happens. Lava, I'm not sure. I'm just making that up, but it might be.
But it was really cool looking though. Like everything changes. You know, it was nice to see kind of this fantasy sci-fi, you know, non-standard take on such kind of a classic formula.
Yeah, very, very true. Yeah, it was like it just felt like NBA Jam, but with like it almost felt like a mashup between NBA Jam and like Space Jam.
Yeah,
the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like that kind of mashup in my mind, at least. They were really cool. I really liked that whole. It's a great couch game.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean,
it's going to be on the Xbox, so and
it's going to be on Steam. Yep, and they're planning to have 1 to 4 player local co-op. So you can sit down with your buddies. You know, you can have a beer. You can play a game just sitting on the couch, kind of like classic, you know, good old days.
And after Dunk Lords, we went over and saw a game called Scene Investigators.
Oh yeah.
And Scene Investigators is done by a team called EQ Studios, and they did a game called Payne's Creek's Killing, which I haven't talked about it on the show, but I do own and have played it. They were very excited that I had already owned the game, that they had already released, and it's a detective game where you play this journalist and you're trying to discover this murder in this pretty abandoned town, and you're trying to put together clues. It's kind of that, almost like that missed a conversation we've had before, where you're like alone in the town.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like psychological thriller in that isolation kind of mode. So I played that game, and these guys were there, and they were very receptive. They were very fun. The game that they're working on right now is going to be an episodic crime investigative detective series. So your character will be solving they'll be going to crime scenes, and they'll be solving the case, and then they'll release additional crime scenes for you to solve it in first person. And it just looks really cool, kind of modular, maybe like being able to kind of pick up and play, and then kind of when you get a chance, kind of go back. I almost kind of viewed it as like almost like a escape room with a twist a little bit.
Yeah, that's what and they the way they had their booth set up was actually really cool. It had kind of a fake crime scene setup. You know, they had the tape on the ground, if I remember correctly, and like
right,
like clues and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. They kind of had that.
They were a pretty cool. They were a pretty cool group. Very, very friendly. Both. We spoke with Brianna and Yoshia, and both of them were very, very nice, very friendly.
Yeah, and after we went to them, we wandered a bit more. We ended up stopping briefly and speaking to Luther of Joy Manufacturing Co. They are working on a game called Ambition. A Minuit in Power. Luther described it as a roguelike visual novel set during the pre-revolutionary France. According to their Kickstarter, they're describing it as a revolutionary romantic video game where you play as a woman of fashion in pre-revolutionary France, a time of intrigue, danger, and serial adultery. It just looked really cool. Unfortunately, Seth and I couldn't make it into one of the betas. We had a little bit of a scheduling conflict, but it was very cool checking out some of the art from the game, and I did a little research on it later, and it looks like it's going to be a kind of a cool visual novel set in an interesting time period, the pre-revolutionary France. We
also ran into Scott over at Heart-Shaped Games. He was there repping We Are the Caretakers, which he is the founder and creative director of Heartshaped Games, and they're developing We Are the Caretakers, which is a sci-fi Afro-futuristic squad-based management game set where you are protecting animals from poachers and aliens.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's very cool. I got the art style is really it's just unique. I just like we were walking by and I saw it and I was like, what is this game? And I need it. And then he was like, it's kind of like XCOM, and I was like, oh, please
Sold.
continue. Sold. I showed up with the Fry meme with the dollars.
Oh right, yeah.
So yeah, it was a really cool game, and Scott was really, really cool to talk to. I thought that he was very enthusiastic about the game, and also about talking about the podcast and stuff. I thought he was very enthusiastic about that.
Yeah,
as well.
Definitely. We also stopped at a couple of booths that weren't. They had some games on display. But there was like one booth, for example, that we stopped at was dedicated just to Boston indie games. So it was kind of a collection of games that had been made by local Boston indie devs, such as Cat Lateral Damage. And they had one of the Emily's Away games available to purchase there. So that was cool. And then we also stopped at Mega Cat Studios, which I was interested in stopping by. They unfortunately didn't have any games for sale, but we did get to spend some time talking to Nate of Mega Cat, and he gave us kind of he described a lot of the kind of fun elements of working on these retro games for older consoles. And some of the difficulties and the fun involved in that production.
He was fun. He's definitely someone who appreciates gore in games.
Yes, yeah,
and he was raised on. We were discussing our memories of growing up, and he has very fond memories of Doom. It's a very iconic and memorable game for him. And he talked about how he tries to get more gore into the games that Mega Cat works on, and that in order to get his buy-in, you generally have to increase the level of gore in a game in order for him to buy in on a side, like a different project. He was fun. I really enjoyed speaking with Nate. I thought that he had a unique perspective, and he was definitely a fun personality to be with.
Yeah, even if he wasn't a Sega guy, that was kind of the the one thing I think we disagreed on.
Yes, he was not a Sega Genesis guy, and we are. So we had we were almost escorted from the booth, but yes. We maintained our space. We did. So we did stop by some of the larger booths. There was a game that Devolver Digital has that's upcoming that I didn't actually grab any material from the booth, so I almost forgot about it. But when Zachary mentioned Devolver Digital, I actually just remembered about it. But it's a game called Carrion.
Yes.
And it is a very... it's a game where based on just watching the people play at the show, it looks like you play as some sort of blood monster, and that has tentacles, and you have to travel through being the creature that is scary and eating people and jumping out of things and crawling through it. And it's got weird where you move with tentacles, and the controls look a little maybe a little off, but it looks cool. I really like that the Devolver Digital style of games that they publish. I know that they're publishers, so they don't really develop the games, but they do definitely have a style that they choose to publish. And this game just it fits, and it looks really cool, and I'm definitely something that I'm going to be on the lookout for. And I'm going to have to go in and Steam wishlist or something before I forget about it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to look into that game. I like games like that kind of have a twist on something that's you playing as the villain essentially, which seemed really cool.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
in lines of that kind of Lovecraftian horror, one game that I wanted to demo, but it looked like it had a bit of a line on it, was called World of Horror by a company called Panstaz. I think that's how you say it. Panstaz. Panstaz. So World of Horror is described as the plot on itch.io is the year is 1980X. Disgusting creatures terrorize a small seaside town in Japan as reality starts to crumble and the old gods reawaken to sate their primal hunger. It is a losing battle, but maybe you've got what it takes to postpone the inevitable. The end of the world is at hand. Just from I've heard about this game prior to PAX, but seeing them at PAX was really cool, and it reminded me of the game, so I'm going to wishlist them and kind of follow the production a bit more. It's a like a horror, like mystery, like adventure game. It has a very click and what's it called? Point and click kind of style to it. All the graphics are done in the style of old Macintosh graphics, so it's all black and white, pretty much monochromatic. And the art style is heavily inspired by horror manga writer Junji Ito, who worked on manga such as Gyo and Uzumaki. He's best known for a short story in Gyo called The Enigma of Amigara Fault, which has to do with people and cracks in the walls, and it's very creepy. It's kind of like a body horror style of horror that Junji Ito goes for, and it looks like that this is going for as well, but I think it kind of blends well with the very, very simple graphical interface.
Right. Yeah. It's got like a black and white kind of color to it, scheme to it.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like almost looks like a manga that's kind of like come alive with.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Like an old school manga. So there was also on Friday I attended PAX by myself and was the classic gaming brother without my brother. And I ran into a company called Nowhere Studios, which is putting out Circadium City. And I don't think Zach and I were able to get back there on Saturday.
No, I don't think so either. But
it's an interesting game where you play as this guy and you play out the entire 24-hour cycle of his life. So you play him waking up, going to work, and he goes to a very boring job. The developer said in the initial release of the game, his job is going to be selling anti-aging cream to babies, and then there'll be other jobs in there. And you conduct his whole life during the day, and then when you go to sleep, you get transported to the dream world. And then it becomes more of like a crafting Stardew Valley type game where you're like farming and building and doing all those type of Stardew Valley stuff. And it looks cool. I really like just the vibe I was getting off of it. He was I spoke with Burek over there. He's the founder of Nowhere Studios, and he was just, we were going back and forth, and I was like asking him questions and about how the game played out, and it looks like they're going down the right path, and I think it's going to be a really, really cool game. They are looking at like a Q2 for when it's going to be coming out, so Q2 of this year.
It looks really,
when it's probably coming out.
I just looked it up. Yeah, it looks really cool. I'm gonna add this to my wish list. I'm gonna follow this because this looks like
it looks neat.
This is like the kind of game that I like.
There also it looks like it's really low key kind of thing, kind of low key, kind of a like adventure RPG type game.
Yeah, and I like that style of that style of game. It's kind of like the life simulation style of games I'm really into.
Yeah, so exactly. Yeah, and it's similar-ish to your Byway Pass, which is coming up eventually.
Yes, absolutely.
There was some other games Well, so there was a game that Zach and I actually played together. It was one of the few games that we played together. We played that and Beach Buggy 2.
Yeah, the Beach Buggy game. That was fun.
We played Beach Buggy Racing, which was fun. It was a racing game. We played a game called Door Kickers Action Squad.
Yeah.
Where you play as police officers and you have to go in and rescue hostages, and it's 8-bit side scrolling. And it was, let's just say Zachary tried to play it the right way and I played with the shotgun. And so we like, you have to burst through the door, and there's like guys that come at you, and you shoot them, and you have to not shoot the hostages. And I remember the developer looked at us as we saved off at the second game, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys got 4 out of the 8 hostages," and we're like, good enough.
Could have been worse.
Could have been worse. Could have been less than 4, and it was fun. I think playing it cooperatively was like really, really fun. And you get like, it could be couch or network co-op. It's it's got some decent like AIs that they have for the enemies, and it's just like fast paced type of gameplay. It was fun. I liked it.
It gave me kind of like, it felt like a combination of like Broforce in terms of the way the graphics were, and like Hotline Miami, just with how fast the gameplay was.
Yeah. I was getting Hotline Miami vibes.
Yeah. So that's definitely a game I'm looking forward to. I see that they're planning to have a release on the PS4, so I'm going to probably snag that when it's out for the PS4.
So there was some other stuff that I saw that was not game related. There was one that was game related but not video game related, and then there was one that was game related but not any type of interactivity. So I saw an art booth. It was called Artovision, and they do 3D shadow box artwork that is generally really cool. Themed like video game themed. They actually had a really cool one. It's a desktop shadow box, so it's like on a thick piece of acrylic, and it has the scene from Legends of Zelda, the original game, except it's Luke and it's a lightsaber, and it's Ben Kenobi giving him the lightsaber instead of the wizard, and the 2 droids are on the side. Really cool art. We met the guy who it's him and his son that do it, and we met both of them, and they were really nice to talk to. We're probably going to run into them in other conventions, because it looks like they do. They actually mentioned that they were going to go down to Rhode Island Comic Con, which is a show that at least I go to, and it's Artovision 3D.com is their website. Really cool stuff. It's just like they've got stuff for states, which is like not game related, but they also have like Street Fighter, shadow boxing, and it's just like really cool art. I really liked them. I thought they were a cool non-video game themed thing. And the other non-video game thing that I really thought was cool was a board game called The Shivers, and it's called a pop fiction game, and it's a pop-up tabletop mystery game where there's like the board is actually cardboard, like a set, almost like a set for it. It's like an interior of a house. It's really difficult to kind of describe. I recommend just looking up The Shivers pop-up. They're coming to Kickstarter in a couple of months, and they're making sure that their production issues abroad are okay, and then they're going to kind of get everything ready for their Kickstarter. But it's a really cool kind of like murder mystery type board game that really has a one-of-a-kind type of board. It kind of also reminds me of that Dead End Alley or Dead End Drive. Remember that game?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Like Dead End Drive very similar-ish to that on a smaller scale. But,
yeah, it looked really
without
cool.
traps. It did.
Yeah, I liked the kind of the whole idea of a pop-up board game. I think that's really unique. And something that we don't really see.
Yeah. So I think that's our post-PAX podcast for the segment right there. Unless you have anything else that you saw that you want to mention before we move along here.
Just a ton of stuff. I mean, I'm looking forward to pretty much all the games we saw. Oh, one that I forgot to mention was a game called Rename by Octosoft. They're actually a Boston-based developer. It was kind of like an 8-bit roguelike action platformer game, so I'm excited to check that out too. I think I entered a contest to see if I could win a copy of the game.
Ooh,
so
contest.
we will see. We'll see.
Yes.
But no, overall it was I had a real fun time at PAX. And I'm looking forward to going to the next PAX next time they're around.
Next time it happens every year.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to PAX 2021.
Hopefully with 100% less virus. So we do have our giveaway. We're going to do the drawing for the giveaway, and now our winner is. Can you do the drum roll? Justin.
Hey,
he's our winner.
Justin. Woohoo.
So Justin, look forward to your email. Look forward to your email. I don't even know if that's English. Look at your email. You'll hear from us, and you will be able to choose from the list of our games that we have. And
that's right.
Remember, we do have a list of games. We are still going. We're going to do another giveaway. Who knows if it'll be. Is this our 14th episode? Every 14 episodes? That'd be a weird like kind of every
our favorite number.
Our favorite number are every 14th episode or so. So in order to enter, you just send us feedback and we'll put you into the drawing. And then you can also choose from our list of games that we have. That is a random assortment of games that you may not like. But they are all PC games, so hopefully Justin will be able to find something. Maybe we'll talk about what Justin picked on our future show. And we should get to the buy wait pass segment.
Do you want to take it away on the buy wait pass?
Sure. One of the games that I'm excited about coming out is a game called Gone Viral. It's a game that we saw at PAX. It's a fast-paced melee action roguelite game where no runs are the same, and you have to kill enemies with style in order to earn fame and rewards. So you're like a gladiator that has to compete for fans. And what's cool is the fans will vote on you on what they like and don't like, and it really impacts the game. And the fans are NPCs or computers. It's AI, unless you have a Twitch following. And then you can incorporate your Twitch following, and your Twitch followers can vote on the different upgrades and stuff like that, and what they like to see instead. And another aspect is it integrates with the webcam so that your face is up on the on different cameras and television screens, so you can see yourself playing the game, moving this guy around. It's cool. I think it's a unique approach to the Twitch gaming.
Yeah,
as it is, and I think it's a interesting take on it. I think Twitch gaming is something that is very new, even for Zach and I, and I think it's something that I think Gone Viral is going after it hard, and I think it's going to be successful. We also got beta codes, so we'll be checking those out. I'm definitely gonna put that on I'll put it on a buy. I think I'll pick that game up. I think it's a fun type of game that I just like that kind of style. It reminds me of the movie or the book, or like Hunger Games. I guess it kind of is like Hunger Games-ish. Yeah,
it was giving me Smash TV vibes, which was
Smash
a fun game
TV
on the Sega.
So what about you, Zach?
Yeah, so the game I'm excited for is also a game that we saw at PAX. So we got to speak to the developer of it, Thomas Cashman of Viridian Software, and the game is called Alchemic Cutie. So Alchemic Cutie is Seth kind of alluded to it earlier when he was talking about Circadian City. It's a Stardew Valley esque game. Thomas described it as kind of a cross between like Stardew Valley, and Pokemon, and other RPG games. He also said it's an open world game, so you can do a lot of exploring and finding stuff that you need as you explore. I really liked the art style, and I really like the idea of kind of like a combination between a Pokemon collecting game and a Stardew Valley like building and crafting and stuff like that type of game. So I'm excited for it. I put it as a buy for me because I just like that style game a lot. I really like life simulators and just kind of like easygoing games that you can just kind of sit back and enjoy, and you don't have to like, you have to concentrate on it, but you don't have to like it's not going to stress you out anytime soon.
Right. It's not gonna. Yeah, you just can relax. There's no stress.
Yeah, and it looks, as the name implies, Alchemic Cutie. It looks very cute. The art style is very very Stardew Valley esque JRPG style, pixel art. So yeah, I'm excited to try that out.
So with that, there's a couple of ways that you can support us, listen to us, and contact us. Is that the three? Yeah, contact us. Those are the three. There's so to support us, you can of course like, subscribe, share, ring bells, send these to your friends. If you're having a nice conversation with somebody and you need a awkward transition, you can always ask them if they like podcasts about video games from brothers. It's great. It's a great office conversation. You can always bring up, say, "Hey, I've been listening to this great podcast. Don't you want to listen to about two brothers talking about video games?" You could try it on everybody. It's okay. And it'll be great. Maybe they're looking for that specific niche need. We also have a merch store. If you really want to buy our brand on your chest or your mug, you can do those things, and we will ship it to you.
Yeah.
From some random person who does it for us, and we don't know them, but they do it. They're very friendly. And you can also support us. You can listen to us wherever podcasts are served. If we're not on a thing and you want to listen to us on a thing, let us know and we'll get on said thing. So I don't know if there's a thing that we're not on, but if there is, we will get on there for you, our listener who wants to listen to us on a weird medium that's not Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or Spotify, which I don't know, or Stitcher. I mean, we're there. We're on everything that you would want to listen to us. But if we're not, let us know. And then finally, you can contact us by sending us an email, classicgamingbrothers@gmail.com. You can also use our contact form on our website, which is classicgamingbrothers.com/contact. And I don't actually know if that link would work, but you can at least go to classicgamingbrothers.com and click contact.
Yes,
and
right.
You can send us that form, and that form goes to our email. Send us feedback. If you send us feedback, we'll put you into our giveaway. You can also message us on Facebook. You can send us comments on Facebook. You can message us on Instagram. Wherever you want to message us, we will we'll respond. And by will, I mean me. We'll respond, and Zach will just say good job. And
I'll say, good job, brother. You responded.
Yes, I'm one that responds. Anyway, so if you want a response from Seth, send in feedback. If you want to be entered into our giveaway, send us feedback. Negative feedback is also good. You can tell us that our show stinks and that you hate us. That's fine. We appreciate that.
You'll be entered into a drawing.
You'll be entered into a drawing and only make us feel bad for a few seconds. And so, with that said, always remember, don't play games like my brother.
And don't play games like my brother.
I've been Seth.
And I've been Zach.
And we've been the Classic Gaming Brothers.
That's right.
Oh my goodness! It's just, it sounds like it's like a Nickelodeon after school special or something like
Hey,
that.
kids.
When you say it,
Hey kids, listening to Classic Gaming Brothers is good.
that's right.